Welcome to Scary Stories from the Rez, where we explore the chilling tales and supernatural experiences from across British Columbia's Indigenous communities. I'm your host, Meagan Howard-Gibbon, and today's guest brings us stories from Burns Lake. Joining us is Mark Abraham, a member of the Lake Babine Nation who grew up in Burns Lake. Now a family man with 2 sons, Mark has experienced his own encounters with the unknown. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, can you tell us what it was like growing up in Burns Lake?
Growing up in Burns Lake was like pretty much what like you see in the movies in the 90s, like kids running around, playing outside, biking, running through trails, playing hide and go seek throughout the town, just normal stuff like that.
That sounds like an ideal childhood.
Yeah, it was pretty fun actually.
Yeah. Did you go to your nation a lot for cultural kind of stuff or to visit family?
Like most of my childhood, I was there up until 18 years old and then moved out. Mm-hmm. But like most of it was in Burns. Mm-hmm. So I got to learn like quite a bit off my father and my eldest brother.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you ever experience anything supernatural while you were growing up?
Yes, it actually happened in this town.
In Prince George?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what happened?
So there's a time that we went to go and visit some family relatives, and we decided to play hide and seek. So it was me, my eldest brother, and my sister. I don't know where my second eldest brother was, but I know it was the 3 of us, and my dad and my uncle were downstairs playing cards. So I ran down there, felt safe, and like I knew my brother was down there as well. Like we did a lap, and I just stayed down there to try to hide. And then I didn't know my uncle and my dad took off upstairs. So I freaked out. I panicked. I was like, I better get upstairs. And I started running up the stairs, banging on the door, banging, and all I hear is my name getting whispered, and all I hear is, Mark. I was like, what the heck? And then I looked down, and then in the furnace room was just all black, and just out of black, like just the head of my brother, my eldest brother, pops out, and he's like, Mark, come in here with me. And it's like, no way. It's like, that's not him. So I started banging on the door, freaking out, because I knew he wasn't down there. And the one that opens up the door was my brother. The one that was trying to call me into the dark.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
What do you think it was, or?
I don't know. Like some kind of entity. Like
yeah.
Something bad, I guess.
Yeah.
Like trying to call me in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And did anyone else see anything?
No. Like, and I didn't tell my brother until like recently, because I didn't know how to, if they would believe me in a way. Like,
yeah, it's kind of unexplainable.
Yeah.
That's really creepy.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
I think I was maybe 7 or 8.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's just one of my vivid memories.
Yeah.
But like every time I drive by that house, I always get like the chills and the goosebumps.
Oh, what part of town is it in?
It's just off of Kearney and 15th.
Oh.
So it's like a block and a half off of Kearney, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't know. Yeah.
And that's an area of town that a lot of people go through. I wonder if anyone else has.
Yeah, like I see people living there, and it's like, I wonder if they experience anything. Or,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of, yesterday I had a guest on, and he talked about living in the heart, and there was an entity in their house that was like really negative. But I've also heard things locally about Vanway, like just past College Heights, that there's some local legends from around there, and it's interesting that like all of these different places throughout town have these kinds of stories, and I wonder like why they're there and like what they're doing there.
Yeah, like their own history. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be a number of things,
Mm-hmm.
like certain type of deaths or just whatever, I guess.
Yeah. That's really scary. Did anything else ever happen in that house?
No, that's the only thing that I remember of my childhood, because I don't think we went there too much after that. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Fortunately for me.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't really know that much about like Burns Lake. I've been there, and I just don't know anything about like the history of it or anything like that. Do you have any kind of local legends from there?
I don't know, like hearing just from my mom, like about my grandpa, like he was a mailman and he had to travel from Burns Lake to Smithers on foot, like back in the day. And I guess there were times where he would be traveling and they would talk about like little people, like everybody's got stories about little people. But he was always getting bugged, and like his rifle would be disarmed, his bullets would be beside the rifle.
Wow.
Yeah, just
like, so when he would walk from Burns Lake to Smithers, how many kilometers do you think that is?
wow. It's gotta be, like, my guess, maybe 193. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's a bit shorter from here to Prince George. Or I mean, from here to Burns Lake, it's a bit shorter than that.
Yeah. Okay, so how long did it take him to do that journey?
I believe she said a week. I don't know, because
Wow.
like he had to stop along all the communities on the way so that he could do his drop-offs, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, did he have to like camp
Yeah.
by himself?
Yeah, camp in the forest by himself.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And there weren't. I don't know how long ago that was, but I remember my mom telling me, because she grew up here, but we're Wet'suwet'en, so they'd go back to Smithers and Whitsett all the time, and the roads were like dirt when my mom was a kid, and it was just dirt roads back then. Like, so I wonder if it was just trails or something that he'd go through.
Yeah, that was like one of like my wonders, I guess. Something I guess I should ask her.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I know my family has lots of, whenever we bring up ghost stories, everyone wants to talk about their experiences with ghost stories.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any that your family members have kind of experienced?
Not too many that I could think of. Like, just hearing footsteps in the house. And my dad, they would gamble downstairs, play a game called Wrinkle. It's like almost gin in a way, but you play with 7 cards.
Okay.
But every once in a while they would hear chips rattling downstairs or...
Oh.
Yeah. I've never heard it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that some people are able to tune into like some other frequency more, and they can hear things or see things better, and other people just don't hear them. So yeah, I'm still like thinking about that entity that you saw when you were a kid, because I wonder what it was going to do. Like,
yeah, same here. Like, that's still a wonder for me as well. Like, just to call me in there, and then what?
Yeah.
Like, what would happen beyond that darkness that you entered?
And you had that instinct to like not go in, which is good, but also like someone who I'd spoken to said that they had brushed up with a bad entity and it made them sick for like a week.
Damn.
And then their sickness turned into like pneumonia and stuff, so they got really, really sick from it. And it's I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why they are here or what it wants. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you go through like a bunch of different cultures as well, like not just ours, like if you hear any other stories on any other series, or like everybody's almost got the same type of stories with entities, and like are they connected, like with, are the entities connected? I don't know.
Yeah.
Curious though.
That's a question. Maybe we'll find out one day. Probably not.
Probably not though.
Do you have any other kind of scary stories?
So where I'm staying in Burns Lake, there'd be times where I'd wake up to knocking on like just the outside of my door, like somebody's there but there's nobody there. Or there are times where I would wake up to something whispering in my ear, and that would wake me up. Or there was a time where I felt like something was trying to drag my arm, like drag me off the bed. Like I felt my, like the way I was sleeping, and then like my arm just totally off the bed.
Wow.
And just a few times like leaving early in the morning for work, and then like just glancing in the living room, there'd just be like a figure sitting on the couch, and it would always be sitting in the same spot too. So
Are those all in the same place that they happened?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Just something like maybe it's a spirit that had some unfinished business still or something.
Yeah.
Yesterday I'd spoken to another guest, and we were talking about or he had like, he's very academic, so his mind like works completely differently from mine. I'm just curious about people's stories, but we had talked about, because I had experienced at my parents' house, in one bedroom there would be like a knock behind like the wall where I was sleeping, so it'd be like just behind my headboard there'd just be like one knock, like, and so I don't know, I knew it was kind of strange, because like on the other side of that wall there's nothing, it's just the outside of the house, and there would always be one knock. And he was saying that he thinks it's like a spirit or something just trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting, because they could like if they could get your attention and you're able to help them maybe like move on or something, then that might be why they're doing it.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I've also seen, like, I always see stuff out of the corner of my eye. And I lived in an old house in Vancouver, and just outside in the hallway there was like my bedroom and then my roommate just down the hall, and she had a chair in her room, and then I had walked by and I like saw a woman sitting in the chair just from the corner of my eye, and then I looked back because I was like, oh, I don't think she's here right now, and she wasn't there. And then I didn't want to say anything. I was like, but eventually I told her, I'm like, yeah, I think I saw a spirit in your room. She's like, what? Oh my god.
Yeah, like the thing that I see in the corner of my eye or just get a glimpse of at the house, it always seems like it's a woman, like an elderly woman, like just sitting there. I don't know.
Nothing negative.
No.
Yeah.
But like growing up as well, like hearing from my mom and my late grandma just telling me like never to be afraid of spirits, like you don't want to show them any fear, like just in case if they try to use that fear against you. So
yeah, parents and grandparents always have good advice for that stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if they ever, I mean, I've heard lots of stories from like old places where like the parents and grandparents have experienced things, And I don't know, it's kind of scary, I guess, sometimes, but how do you not show fear?
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not unless you face it.
Yeah.
Like, unexpectedly, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I don't know. Like I said, I was pretty afraid when I seen what I thought was my brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And it sounded like your brother?
Yeah. So there are, like, other little stories. Like, I would always go for a walk, and I would call my friend, and he lived up on the upper part of the reserve. So he had to walk down through a trail or a road just to get down to what was called Steve's Gas Bar at the time. But now it's, I can't, Slenya or something.
Mm-hmm.
Snatchelia, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
But where Steve's Gas Bar was at the time, there's the pine that's right behind it. And I would always just chill and wait outside the gas bar on the cylinder block, waiting for him. And then, like, I'd hear my name getting whispered in the forest, like, just my name.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, is this guy messing around?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I knew he wasn't because he'd always sometimes walk around the band office. Like, there's no trail there, but he'd just randomly walk around the band office or walk on the right side of it. But he'd never walk through the pines. And there's, like, twice that I've heard it and just got freaked out. And I was like, well, I'll be waiting for you at the youth center. And after that, the youth center, where it is now, is an old band office, I believe. But it was, like, dark, abandoned, nobody in there. All the lights were off. And I was sitting there, and I was still waiting for him, and I heard a knock on the window, and you could hear the blinds move too, and the blinds were still moving. I looked back, and there's nobody there, so I freaked out, and I just went back to the gas bar.
That's interesting, because you have a lot, like, I feel like all of your stories is, like, they're calling you out and saying your name.
Yeah. Like, the twice that it happened in the forest, those, like, freaked me out because I thought it was him, but it wasn't. I was like, somebody's got to be messing around, but there's obviously nobody.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I wonder what would happen if you were to go into the forest. And that also, like, recently with, what was that little girl's name who... Oakland, yeah. And how she, like, survived 3 days by herself in the forest. I wonder if she, like, had seen anything, or if something was calling her name, and that's why she went in to the forest and was gone for so long. Yeah. But when she grows up, I think that will be, like, I'd hope that she can, like, share her story and find out what happens with that, because that was a big scare within
like for the
all
whole
of British
community.
Columbia. Basically, I was flying back from Vancouver on the Sunday, and the person sitting in front of me was talking about how she was flying back to Prince George to go to Burns Lake and help find her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so people all around, like, BC. But those are old. I mean, like, everywhere is old, but, like, it's, you don't really know what's in the forest there.
No, like, the forest is kind of scary as well, too, just because, like, so vast, so big.
Yeah, I've actually heard some Sasquatch stories from around that area, too.
Yeah.
Have you heard any?
I've actually got one of my own.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'd always go hunting with my brother and his best friend. Like, we'd go every morning. Like, we wouldn't even leave early. Sometimes we would, but sometimes we wouldn't. But I remember this one time, we went up to, I can't remember the lake, But the way it was mapped out, like it was new forest, like just recently planted. So everything was at the time probably 7 to 9 feet maybe. So where we parked, you could kind of see the lake, but it was like all not hilled landscape, but it was a little trek to get there. And we went, scoped the lake, checked around there, seen nothing was around there. So I was like, well, I'm gonna jump in the box. And I want to jump in the box and just chill out here so I could look around just in case we miss anything. And then, like, as we're driving away, I look and then scan by the lake again, and then there's this big figure just standing over trees, just staring. And I freaked out. I didn't know what to do, so I just banged on the hood of the truck, and it's like, I want to get back in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't tell my brother until, like, recent again. Like, I didn't know how he would take it, but he told me a story about a time that he went hunting, and the same thing, there's a hill that's, like, just started, like, getting, what was it, trees planted or whatever, like, it was all clear brushed, and they seen something running up the hill, and they thought it was a big bear, but after a while they looked closer and it was running on 2 legs, and they said it made it up that mountain in like 2 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was around Burns Lake.
Yep.
Also?
Yep.
That's really cool. People always say when you see a Sasquatch, it like presents itself to you. Have you heard that?
No.
I've heard, like, some people say that when you see a Sasquatch, it's like a spiritual being, and they don't just show themselves to anyone. And I can't remember the meaning of why they would show themselves to you, but I've never seen a Sasquatch. Did it smell? I heard they smell like garbage.
No, like, that's the thing that I've heard too, is that they smelled. And there's another actual instance where we went berry picking, and this was probably 3-4 years after the incident that happened at the house. So it was a group of us, and what I heard from stories is that they almost sound like a baby cub crying, like the way they sound. And when we were out picking, and they just wanted to, like, be there just in case any bears were around. So there's like 10 of us, maybe 12. But so the 2 that had the rifles, because they heard those cries, they ran up the hill, and then they seen nothing. But then we went up to a different spot, and there was a footprint, and I still remember it to this day. It was like this big.
Wow.
And he went up and casted it, and we went back up there the next day, and it was totally smashed. Beer cans around it, like, smashed, broken. I was like, what? Like, somebody just got rid of some sick evidence.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. But I've never heard about the thing about them presenting them. So.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what would happen if you actually encountered a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
But they seem to keep pretty hidden, I guess.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. Do you still go hunting in those areas?
Yep. Yeah.
Never saw anything else?
No. Nothing yet.
Wow. That's really creepy.
Yeah. Try to keep a lookout though too, so.
Yeah.
Just in case.
I used to work for TELUS, so we'd go out to TELUS all the time, and someone had seen like a UFO or something. It was just like a black cloud, kind of, and it didn't like come close to them, but they were driving down that Takla High Road, which is out like FSR, and it was the middle of the night, and he took a picture of it, and it's just like a little bit of light in the background from because it was the middle of summertime, so there was still a little bit of light at nighttime. And then there was just like this black, like, oval in the sky, and as they drive closer to it, it would get further away. So, yeah, they hightailed it to tackle after that. But
It's a trek going that way.
it is quite the trek. Yeah. It's
Is it like 4 hours or something?
from Prince George. Yeah.
The UFO story I have isn't mine. It's secondhand from my brother and sisters. So I guess like this was when I was living out of town. So not too far off, like off the reserve. Like it would be to the left of my dad's place, and all of that is just mainly all forest. And then they said they were out there having a smoke, and they seen lights like just circulating, and then they seen it shooting beams down and shooting beams back up and shooting beams down and shooting beams back up. And so it was pretty creepy.
That is really creepy. I would run away. When we go camping and I'm sitting outside, I like to stare up at the stars, and then I like freak myself out. I'm like, what if something's going to come out here and get us, because we're just out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Like camping at night is kind of creepy.
When someone who I was talking to about ghost stories and UFOs and stuff when I was in Smithers, one person I talked to had a couple of stories, but I was talking to someone else who worked in like forestry and natural resources, so he's outside a lot. And I was like, oh, isn't it scary, like, being out here? And he was like, he said, if you have to, like, trust your ancestors when you're out there, and nothing will, like, harm you. And I was like, wow, that's, like, a really nice way to think about things, but I still get really scared when I go out to the middle of nowhere, especially like driving on back roads and stuff. I don't really like doing that because it's a little bit, it seems scary. Like, what if you break down or something? And
yeah. Flat tire.
Mm-hmm.
No spare.
Yeah.
No cell service.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, I don't know. Anything could happen, especially if you're in, like, if you run off the road or something. I don't know. And because it gets so cold here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially this time. Mm-hmm. Especially out there as well.
Yeah.
So there's this one other story I forgot. I remember when I was younger, and there's this one road that leads back up to the reserve, and there's all these high school kids standing around. There's cops there, high school kids, and I was just biking. I didn't pay any mind to it, but then later on in the day, I heard that they're hearing screams coming from the forest, like it echoed around that part of the forest, and then it jumped up to where the new subdivision is, where it wasn't before. Like, it was just all forest back there as well, so it'd jump up there, and all that scream would echo around there, and then it'd come all the way back down. And they were off. Like, I think it happened like 2 occasions.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really creepy. So that was in Burns Lake, right?
Yep.
By the high school? Is that what you said?
No, so like the road is called Babbion Road, and
okay.
If you take that, and you could take that just to get back up to the reserve. Mm-hmm. So like there's an off road that you could take, but I remember just biking up that as a kid, and then just seeing all these like high school students standing on the side of the road.
And that's really weird.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff happening in those forests there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can you tell us anything about Lake Babbion Nation, like where it is, and I don't know, anything about that? Say like how far it is from Prince George and.
Lake Bebby Nation is 232 kilometers from Prince George.
That's an exact amount of kilometers.
Yep.
You know, because you drive back and forth all the time.
Yep. So we're 232 kilometers north of Prince George. It's a quite small community, but like everybody gels together pretty decent, I guess. Like everybody's nice with one another. Like even with all the neighboring communities, all the neighboring reserves, like very kind people around that area.
Nice. Because I know every, I don't know. I know it's there. I just like never really go there. Do they, what was I going to ask? Do you speak any of, this is what I was going to ask. What language do they speak in Lake Bebby?
They speak carrier language.
Okay. And
so,
do you know any?
No.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Yeah, so I don't know, like they went with the whole course for it like recently, and I don't know. I didn't know about the course, but the thing that kind of stuck with me as a youth was my carrier teacher. She is telling me that our language is going to die in 50 years. And I see it like just because I can't speak it. Like I know words, but I don't know how to throw them together. And like for my kids, like I don't know if they're going to be able to speak it or pick it up down the line. And I don't know. That's just one of the scary things, I guess.
Yeah, language revitalization is really, it's hard to do, but it's also really important because like language carries also our culture in it.
Yeah.
And like I don't speak very much Wet'suwet'en, but my mom took the course actually, Wet'suwet'en Nadoden, and she always like would tell us like little words here and there when we were kids. So we'd be like driving down the road and we'd be like, oh, a cow, Miss Deuce, and like stuff like that, but never like full words. And actually my grandma doesn't speak it very much anymore either. But I heard that the Clately dialect, there's only like 3 native speakers now.
Wow.
And yeah, so hopefully technology and stuff like that can help.
Yeah, because that is a scary thing to lose. Just because it is a part of our history, and I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah. Well, I don't think. Do you have anything else you wanted to talk about? No. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciated you sharing your stories with us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, dokie. That's it. Wasn't so bad.